everybody, it's Starla with Expressions Vinyl, and we have another Vinyl Friday for you this week. And this week we're talking about EasyWeed, and we have a coupon for 20% off all EasyWeeds. So that includes your EasyWeeds, your EasyWeed Stretch, and your EasyWeed Electrics. If you watched Jessica's video on Tuesday, she kind of talked about those. I'll kind of talk about them a little bit here. But she referred to the EasyWeed as the Papa Bear, the Stretch as the Mama Bear, and the Electric as the Baby Bear, which I thought was a good analogy. So they're all the same, they're all Siser, they're all EasyWeed. They just have different, things about them that make them a little bit different and different uses. So what we're mostly going to talk about today, and if you tune in a little bit later, we're going to do it multiple times, so don't feel like you're going to miss out. We're going to talk about layering. I think she talked about that too on Tuesday. Did she talk about that?
A little bit, yeah.
So we're going to talk about layering multiple times. So this flower has 5 layers. So I'm going to show you, we'll get the EasyPress going, what you want to do, what most people do wrong, I should say, and I'll explain this while people are getting on. While people are getting on, tell me where you're from and what EasyWeed projects you're working on. Have you ordered it and have you used the coupon to get your order coming for 20% off, which is It's Easy 18 for 20% off your EasyWeed. So if you have any friends that want to do that, share that with them as well. But let me know where you're from and what you're working on as far as heat transfer EasyWeed going. So we're going to get the press going. I'm going to show you what you don't want to do, and then we're going to show you the correct way, or a tip, not the correct way, there's different ways, how to apply layers without it shrinking. So you want to do, if you're using the EasyPress, we're not doing a heat press today because not as many people have them. And if you do have them, it's the same concept, it's just easier to show with the EasyPress. So with the EasyPress, you still want to do your, let me show how to change it. You want to do the recommended settings for our stuff, not Cricut settings, because their vinyl is different. So you just turn it on, set your temp, which for regular layering, it's 305. I go down just a little bit when I'm doing a lot of layers, and then change your timer to the full time, which EasyWeed is 10 to 15 seconds. So I'm going to change it to 15. Ooh. And then you have to select both of them to get out of it, just like you would on a heat press, and then it's going to start warming up. And it warms up a lot faster than a press, so that's an advantage for the EasyPress. So while that's going, we've got a couple cutouts here. Let me make sure I have enough. One of them is messed up, so I'll use that one. Okay, so I've got my 5 layers. A trick that I do is I always put a registration mark or a tab at the top. You can't press this on like you would adhesive where you just remove it. I just use that so I know which way my image needs to point. So that's all that's for. But I'm going to lay this out. So we've got our bottom layer. And I stack them, you don't have to. If you're worried about the vinyl lifting, and it's ready to go, that was fast. If you're worried about the vinyl lifting, don't be. It's pretty stable on there. I just do that so that I have all my pieces. That one was so little I didn't feel the need to do a tab on it. I could have done the same thing on there, but I want to show you guys how to use the tabs. So that's the order that my flower will go in. So this is what most people do. All right, you look at your chart, you see EasyWeed, all the EasyWeeds are 305, 10 to 15 seconds, hot or cold pill. So you take your flower, take your tab off if you decide to use those. You can just use a weeding box, but this flower was asymmetrical, so I wanted to make sure I was lining it up the correct way. Okay, I'm gonna flip it upside down. Now I just gotta remember that that's that way. Okay, so you're thinking, I'm gonna do this as my first project. This is a good tip for newbies. You're gonna take your EasyPress, and you're gonna count down till 5, because that's 10 seconds. With firm pressure. All right. Ooh. And sometimes that happens. All right, so that layer looks great, right? Okay, so you keep going, having fun here. Do you have any questions so far? Where are people tuning in
No
from?
questions for. We've got people from Texas, people from Minnesota, California, Oregon, New Hampshire, down the street towards Idaho Falls.
Down the street.
We've got Vivi tuning in, Bonnie tuning in.
Nice. But no one's sharing
Emily,
their EasyWeed
Mara.
projects?
Yeah, people are working on first birthday party shirts for their grandson. Let's see. Working on Cocoa dress with HTV.
Ooh. Oh, has anybody layered? That was going to be my next question. While we're waiting for this. We're going to do this every layer for 10 seconds. And hopefully this does what it's supposed to do incorrectly. Has anyone not layered? Are there any newbies that haven't layered and have been wanting to try that? Or any that are not and still working on it? Okay. This may not, what I'm trying to get the point across with this is that if you exceed, well, if you do each layer for 10 seconds, which is the minimum, you might have some shrinking, so every time you add on another layer, it might not line up. That might not be the case with just regular cotton material for quilting, but t-shirts kind of tend to shrink, so even if you wash them, they'll shrink a little bit no matter what. This is actually not doing too bad, so that point is not going across.
The question just came up, which is a good spot right here. Why are you not using a cover sheet?
Because this, so far, has covered my whole image. I don't need a cover sheet. This one, though, it's not covering my whole flower. So you can use a previous one, which I don't have my multi-use paper I was going to grab. So I'm just going to use my previous carrier sheet, and it's covered. It's fine. So if you've only got one layer, or you've got multiple that the cover sheet's covering completely, you don't need something. If you have any exposed vinyl, you will need a protective cover, because you don't want to touch the vinyl. So, right. This one's not shrinking at all. It's still looking cute though, right? On a shirt though, this one would have shrunk, which I can actually show you on the headband, actually. So if you're gonna do a quilt like we're doing today, just because it's fun, it's different, it's not a shirt, I would recommend doing the blocks first and then trimming them down, because it might be shrinking a tiny bit, so when you sew your blocks all together, you might be off a little bit, which I was a couple places on here, so keep that in mind. Okay, so this is our last 10 seconds. I set it for 15 and I'm just going to 5 because that's 10 seconds. So, okay. All right, ooh, it did do what it was supposed to. Okay, see that? So I did it for 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Well, guess what happens? The bottom layer, since they're supposed to be 10 to 15 seconds, it's now hitting 50 seconds. Look at what happens. It didn't shrink, but the bottom layers are burnt, and it's rippling them. So, if you do what I'm going to show you next on the quilt, you won't have that, and it will come out like so. Can you see it? Mm-hmm. So, there's no rippling, it looks great. You might have a tiny bit of where this little pink guy had the carrier sheet so small, if you put too much pressure, you might have a line. Press it at the very end and you'll get rid of that. So, what we're gonna do now, and I'll show you the other thing that we're supposed to do. If it's shrinking, you will get layers that might show your shirt through. So this next technique, what we're going to do on the quilt, is going to avoid that. So, and if you do decide to use stretch, keep in mind your stretch will lose elasticity with every layer, so you want to do a knockout.
And the question is, what machine are you using?
This is the Cricut EasyPress. I'm going to hold it up without touching the element.
Yeah.
It's
But you can use
EasyPress.
other machines, correct?
Yes, you can use the iron. We've used the mini irons that you can get at Walmart, the little Drist irons. And you can use iron and EasyPress, or if you have a heat press. I like the heat press because it's just, you get the pressure. This works great for this, so. All right, what we're gonna do next. Does everybody know the difference between a layer and a knockout? Because these are layering. what we're doing today is layering. A knockout's still a layer, it's just a little different. All right, so we have our quilt with all of our little flowers on them. Oh, did I lose my tab? So this is all with the technique. Nothing has shrunk, nothing's rippled. It looks good. It's not gonna do this, like I said before, like it would on a shirt. Shirts just tend to shrink a little bit more. So this method, you can kind of get away with not doing that, but you don't want to burn your bottom layer.
Give us a thumbs up if you've ever used heat transfer on a quilt. If you haven't, give us a surprised face.
Like that?
Yeah, the surprise face. If you haven't on a quilt, give us a surprise face.
I like surprise faces. We are using, oh, I was going to say the colors that we're using. I have to lay them back out again. So I've already got them stacked like I had the previous one with my tabs, just so I know which way it's going. If you do accidentally press it on, doing this method will make it easy to get off before you do your next layer.
So far, no thumbs up and lots of surprise faces.
Okay. I like doing this on quilts.
A new project for people to try.
And the polka dots are also the EasyWeed. So if you can't find, I couldn't find a cotton black with white polka dots. So we just made our own polka dots. Super easy to do. And those ones I did press before I sewed it. So, all right. So what we're gonna do now, you are going to line this up. I was hoping maybe I had some multi-use paper. Okay. So don't be scared for this. The first time I did this, I was really scared, but it's okay. What you're gonna wanna do, your EasyWeed is 10 to 15 seconds. You want to divide your time so that you don't exceed 15. So we're gonna do 1 second with our press. So, I mean, it's quick. 1 second. And if it doesn't work as well with the press, like I said, the heat press is a little bit easier to get the pressure down. You just want to do it until it goes on really well, and I might need to stand up.
The seams.
Yeah, that's right. Because I didn't do it on that one. Okay, Joanne reminded me, we've got seams everywhere, so that's when you use your pillow. And that's what it's not doing even. And that's just gonna make up for anything. So I'm gonna stand up so I have better leverage. So, 1 second. There we go, much better. So if you don't have any pillows, and look what I accidentally did. If you only have it on for a second, it's not activated fully, you can still take that tab off without leaving any residue or ruining your material.
We have a couple questions about what you're making.
We are making just a fun little quilt. We're using our EasyWeed because the EasyWeed's on sale for 20% off. And the biggest question we probably get is, how do you layer EasyWeed? How do you layer heat transfer? I know I shrink, so I can't line it up. So we're just doing this today, and we're gonna do it a couple times, so keep watching. We've got about 4 blocks we're gonna do this on. So we did our bottom layer for a little bit longer, but we added a pillow, so we're just gonna do this for 1 second. So right now, push your EasyPress. All right. So right now, this bottom one is hitting 2 seconds. This is 1 second. If it's coming up a little bubbly, hit it again for just a second. Just keep track of your time. And we're gonna do the same thing for this one. 1 second. I do need to cover this one. And actually, I should have been using this the whole time because this is heat transfer on these polka dots and they're exposed. So 1 second. Ooh. So now my bottom is hitting 3, my mint is hitting 2, and my sea glass, this is actually sweet mint stretch, sea glass stretch, is hitting 1, 2, 3. All right, same thing with their little pink. I can't remember the name of that one. Do you know it off the top of your head? Light pink and bubblegum, I think, of just regular EasyWeed. All right, 1 second.
And where can people get the pillows from?
The pillows you can get right here. And we have several different sizes. This little one that I'm using is our most popular. It's a 6 by 8 inch. And then we have a 10 by 10, 5 by 18 for like your legs or your sleeves. We have a 16 by 20 for the bigger shirts, which comes in handy if you do shirts that have collars or buttons. And then we also have I believe it's a 12 by 14. So there's several different sizes and they all come in handy for different uses.
And we will post a link to that.
Yes. All right, so we've got 1 second, or 4 seconds, 3 seconds, 2 seconds, 1 second. So what I'm gonna do now, since I have time to work with, this top one can actually go for 5 seconds, 6, because then it's gonna make the white, our electric white, gonna hit to 10. So that's where that 10 to 5 seconds, 10 to 15 seconds comes in. So I'm gonna press it down for 5 seconds. And since I still have a little bit of wiggle room, I like to let it cool a little bit, kind of let it recover, and then every time. And then I'll go over for about 2 seconds again, just to give it a good seal. All right. Okay, there's one. Anybody have any questions so far? Did anybody get lost on anything? No? Okay, if you're just tuning in, we're gonna do it again. I'm just going to slide down to here and do our other white one. And my pillow keeps moving. All right, so same thing. Gonna take our layers. Take off your tabs if you choose to use them. If you do accidentally do just one layer for the full time and you have a tab that you use, you can take the back of an iron, really warm, put it on the back side and pull it up with tweezers and it comes off very nicely. You might have some residue, just kind of use some residue remover. Okay, same thing, 1 second. I'm gonna cover because I have white exposed, and this is our EasyWeed Electric Pearl. So it kind of has a fun little shimmer to it if you don't want stark white.
Barbara says she's a quilter, loves this, never thought about doing it.
It's so fun. I like doing it because it adds something different. And you can add texture with glitter, strip flock, holographic, but we're talking about EasyWeed today, so we're using all EasyWeed. All right, next layer, take off your tab. Line it up. Again, if this wasn't here, I could just get away with using this carrier sheet because it's covering my electric.
Explain the polka dots again.
Oh, these are, I couldn't find a black fabric that I liked that had white polka dots. Either they're too small or they weren't quite white. So I just got black fabric and just designed a box on the program. You can do this in Cricut or Silhouette and just find an image that has polka dots to your liking and cut them out on, these were actually 6.5 by 6.5. Pressed them on and then sewed them up. So, and you can sew around heat transfer. If you do embroidery or anything, you can stitch over it and it works just fine. Okay, so again, we're protecting our EasyWeed because it's exposed, and that's actually the stretch, which feels, you can't hardly feel it. All right, 1 second. All right, peel it up slow. Like I said, if there's any rippling or it's kind of wanting to come up, just press it again for a second, just keep your time. All right, next one. All right, do you have any questions so far?
Where did you get the flower design?
The flower design is a silhouette design. It's called Yellow Daisy. I changed the colors because this is the fabric I had. And you can get, I believe they have their images on sale right now. So it's a fun little image, and they have all sorts of different variations from this line. I believe you can also purchase it as an SVG. So if you're a Cricut user, you can actually go on to Silhouette Design Studio and purchase the SVG and just import it. Is that the right word? Import it into your Cricut space, Cricut design space. I need to work on my terminology. All right. Same thing. 4, 3, 2, 1. what this does is, if this was on a shirt, this, if you do the 10 seconds before like we did, it would shrink a lot. So if you're just tuning in, we are talking about layering EasyWeed and how to avoid stretching. Ooh, got a fuzzy right on it. All right. And you also want to make sure if you choose to do a weeding box, you wouldn't have to necessarily on stuff like this, maybe do your base, but where this is a very specific shape, you could just line it up. But I like to use a weeding box with my tabs. Okay, so we have 4, 3, 2, 1, and then our top one. So our bottom one's hitting 4. We're gonna do 6 seconds so it hits 10. Does that make sense to anybody? Has anybody ever done that before? Does it help? All right, and pull it off. And then let it cool for a little bit. And then you can just get away with just doing that, but I like to let it cool for just a minute to kind of give it some air. And then just press it for a couple more seconds, because I'm still not exceeding my 15.
Someone says I use a heat press. Would I do the same time on this project?
Yes, same time, same concept. We're just using the EasyPress today because a lot more people have, and there goes the quilt. A lot more, thank you, Joanne. A lot more people have EasyPresses or irons, so we chose to do that. But if you do have a heat press, the majority of these flowers at the beginning were done with the heat press. It's the same concept. Tone it back to about 300 and just do 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, and then however many layers. So if you had 10 layers, you might have to kind of adjust your time a little differently. But 10 layers is kind of a lot. I don't need those. All right. Do you have anybody else just tuning in?
A couple people just tuning in. What a great idea. Been wanting to get into quilting. So yeah, this is a whole new area to use heat transfer with.
Yeah. I like to do it for just, you know, your own fun designs. Personalizing quilts. You could put names on them. It's fun. All right, so this one, since it's in the corner, I'm gonna go up a little bit because I still have to sew the edges. And there is a slight crinkle in my EasyWeed. That's okay. If it's like excessive, it might show, but I've never had them show. So watch, it's gonna show now. All right, so 1 second.
Will the top layer of vinyl stay put if in the wash with that short of time, with just the 6 seconds?
It should, but that varies on your fabric. That's why I say you can go all the way to the 15, because then it's still coming close. But where I actually went down to 300, you could probably get away with doing a few more seconds because it's a slightly lesser time. If you do find that it's lifting a little bit, because your fabric can vary, if it wasn't enough time, you can still kind of salvage it. If it was too hot, it's never gonna go back down because you burnt the adhesive like we did on our other one. So if you find it lifting, just take your press again, hit it for a couple more seconds, and it should go down fine. You should be able to like take your finger. I don't have anything lifting. I've done that before, and when I do that test, I don't have stuff lift. So, all right, so here's your next one. Did I already press that one? No, I did not. Okay, 1 second again. Oh yeah, forget that. All right. Where's my brush? Whew. Oh, I flipped this and now I don't know which way it goes. I knew I was gonna do that. Here we go. Okay, 1 second again. Ooh, it's hot. Okay. And then you just keep going with 1 second and then hit your last one. One more time. Don't forget to go, if you want to try this out, we have that 20% off. It's code It's Easy 18. 20% off your EasyWeed, your electrics, your stretch, They're all EasyWeeds. They just have different names. Okay, so our final layer we're doing for 6 seconds. And peeling it up. I got a fuzzy in the way. And then you could let it cool or exceed it a little bit if you kind of question it lasting. Okay, one more time, guys. Right. I'm gonna ask a question, I'm sure I ask it. What type of EasyWeed, if you've used them all, is your favorite? Do you like the stretch? Do you like the EasyWeed? Or do you like the electric? Or have you not tried any of them? Let us know. All right, 1 second. And layering does take time, but it's totally worth it. So this one also has another ripple because I squished it. I'm going the wrong way. That's why I have those tabs, because they help me position it in the right spot. Just take them off.
A lot of people like using stretch and the electric depending on the project.
I like the electric because it adds just a little something different. All right. So this one had a ripple, so it's a little bit ripply right there. I can hold it up. So it got rid of the kink, most of it. Most EasyWeeds I found, if they're a little bit damaged, it'll press out. So if you pull out a sheet and it's a little bit rippled, it should be fine. You might just kind of have to be careful with it. All right, cover sheet again, because this is exposed and that's exposed. 1 second. Peel your carrier sheet off and just keep going. Same thing, 1 second. Oh, that was harder because I didn't have time. Peel it off. So what the 1 second is doing is it is just activating the glue. If you put it in the wash after 1 second, it would come right off because it hasn't bonded. But just like our first one, if you didn't see this at the beginning, we did 10 seconds on every layer and the bottom layer started to not like us. So 1 second can avoid that. All right, final one. Gonna do 6 seconds. Any other questions? Comments?
Yeah. Can we list the colors that we use? And we can after in the post.
Yes. We'll do links for the pillows, the flower, the colors, the types. So, okay. I'm gonna go back to this one and press it because I still technically have about 5 seconds wiggle room on this because it's 10 to 15 and I only hit 10. So I could go back and press it just one last time to give it a good flush, smooth look. All right. Okay, let's check it out. Curve all of our carrier sheets. All right, and there we have our quilt. All ready to go. Down. Oh. Let's see. Put it on the chair. Okay. All right, there we have it. So super easy to do, adds a little extra to your quilt. All these fabrics were from Joann's. And yeah, that's just something easy, just quick blocks. Design your blocks at your pre-sewn size with your image on it and go from there. So does anybody have any other questions?
Not yet, but if you do, leave them there.
Yes. Share this. If you like this idea, share it with a friend that maybe quilts, someone who's starting out. It's a good tip for layering. Just share it and then go use the coupon code It's Easy 18 for 20% off your electric, your EasyWeed, and your stretch, which are all EasyWeeds from Siser. So that's all I have for you today, guys. Hope this was helpful. Go share it with your friends. Try it out on a quilt if you're a quilter, or start quilting, and go use your coupon. So hope you have a great Friday. See ya.